Can the Giants win without Malik Nabers? Welcome to the Everything New York Giants podcast with New York Giants Fangirl. I'm your host, Adrianna, and today we are previewing the Giants versus Seahawks battle that is going to take place at 4:25 p.m. on Sunday afternoon in Seattle. So we already know the 12th man is going to be a problem. We already know the Giants are dealing with some injuries, which, speaking of, let's go ahead and get right into it with the final injury report for the Giants, because it is not looking great. Wide receiver Malik Nabers is officially ruled out with a concussion. Now, I think concussions should be taken very seriously. This is his second one. Apparently, he had one in college. I just thought that 9 days was going to be enough, but I guess there's a very specific protocol after you get a concussion before you can go back to play again that involves, going through a step-by-step process, and he did not make it to the next step in time in order to progress to play in the game. So the good news is he'll be back next week. The bad news is there's a very good chance next week we're going to be 1-4. But the injuries are not complete just yet. Running back Devin Singletary is doubtful with a groin injury. I already talked about this before, so I'm not going to go in depth about this in the injury thing, but what is with the groin injury with everyone this year? I don't get it. Anyway, questionable players: linebacker Matt Adams, who's designated to return to practice after starting the season on IR, cornerback Adoree Jackson, who is dealing with a calf injury, and then cornerback Drew Phillips, who is also dealing with a calf injury. Those three guys all listed as questionable, and all I have to say is thank God, because I have the tiniest sliver of hope that maybe we can be competitive. And if those two cornerbacks were not playing, I hate to say this because there are so many negative Giants fans out there. And at the end of the day, I am a fan first, and I am always doing my best to be optimistic. I always feel like there's a chance that the Giants can win games. But if those two guys were out on top of Nabers and Singletary, I was going to feel like this is probably going to be a blowout. And now I feel like maybe it won't entirely be a blowout. It will just be a very, very big challenge. So this is what I think is going to happen from a practice squad perspective, knowing that these guys are out. So I really, really want to see Turbo Miller elevated. I think that this is the perfect opportunity for him, knowing that obviously Devin Singletary is out, so having a third back besides Tracy and Gray is going to be very important. And Turbo had a great camp this summer. He also plays special teams. Something else that is going to be very important for this team is having every opportunity they can to get in good field position, and Turbo is going to be a guy who has the potential to do that for you. So I think, number one, that is a must-do for the Giants. We will find out around 4 p.m. on Saturday. Outside of that, I also think that they will elevate Isaiah Hodgins. Now, I don't think Isaiah Hodgins is going to come in and take over 40% of the snaps to replace Malik Nabers. That would be insane. But I do think that elevating Hodgins gives Jones another receiver that he's confident in, he has a good rapport with. Sorry, Marcy is just walking all over the floor here. She must be next to me at all times. So I will talk loud, so hopefully you don't hear her snoring as loud as me. So I think bringing up Isaiah Hodgins is a good move. Like I said, he's not going to all of a sudden be their number one receiver, but he's a guy that gives Jones confidence that, he can get the ball in his hands. He has been a good red zone target for Jones. So I think it's a good move, and I'm curious to see if that's something that they do tomorrow. So stay tuned. I will be posting it on my Instagram stories at New York Giants Fangirl. Make sure you follow me there because I post daily updates and everything you need to know about the Giants there, because I can get it up very quickly, as opposed to YouTube takes a bit longer. So also, while we're here, please subscribe to YouTube, share with your friends, rate, review the podcast. The more Giants fans that we get involved in this community here, we can all commiserate and we can celebrate together, because the whole reason I started this is because I was a Giants fan looking for other Giants fans to talk shit about Joe Judge too. And here we are 3 years later. So let's go into the Seahawks injuries, because there are some key ones that could potentially help the Giants. So our old friends Julian Love and Leo Williams were both limited in practice this week, although today Julian Love was full practice, so he's going to be good to go. Leo Williams was limited again today. I think his final status will be questionable. Because they're on the West Coast, their final injury designations will probably not be until later tonight, and your girl will already have a margarita in hand by then, so I couldn't wait that long. It is Friday, after all. So when it comes to injury report for the Seahawks, I think these are probably the three most important players. So the first one, defensive tackle Byron Murphy. The second, he obviously has been a really good player for Seattle thus far. They have had a really good defensive line, and like I said, we all know Leo Williams and we know what he's capable of. And their nose tackle, Jonathan Hankins, also been a very important key piece to this defense. So both of those players did not practice Wednesday and Thursday. So TBD on what happens today. Murphy is dealing with a hamstring injury, and Jonathan Hankins, it says not injury related, it's personal. So there's probably a good chance that he plays, but I'm feeling like Murphy is probably not going to, which could be a benefit. Now, someone else that we have to talk about who popped up on their injury list is linebacker Tyrell Dodson. He leads their team in tackles with 33, so he is a big part of their defense. Now, he was dealing with an ankle and a shoulder injury, and on Wednesday he did not practice. He was limited today. I think ultimately he will be listed as questionable. Hopefully for us, he's not feeling 100% because he's obviously, like I said, leading the team in tackles and a very impressive player on this team. So outside of that, the Seahawks have a lot of players on their injury report. So I know we always talk about the Giants having their issues, but they're dealing with a lot of guys. So even DK Metcalf was listed as a limited participant yesterday. So was Kenneth Walker. Now these guys that are limited, they're all going to play. Tyler Lockett listed as limited. Noah Fant limited. So a lot of guys. That's not even all of them. But again, with the limited thing, we expect them all to play. Now, the question is going to be, are they going to play the normal amount of snaps that they normally would play when they're healthy, or because they were on the injury report? I don't know, TBD. So let's go ahead and talk about what this Giants team needs to do to win. Spoiler alert, it's a lot. Let's start with this. So every Thursday, the Giants coordinators speak to the media. And when Mike Kafka spoke to the media, obviously he was asked about, assuming that Nabers is not going to play, what role does Jalin Hyatt fit in all of this? And we all know we want to see more Jalin Hyatt, which at this point, why not? I think the thing that a lot of us feel as fans is is he really not as good as Darius Slayton? Is that really the reason why they're not playing him, is because Darius Slayton is clearly the better player? But Darius Slayton had some very key drops last week against the Cowboys, and at this point, I would just be just fucking put Hyatt out there. Just put him out there and see what he can do. And if he drops balls, then put Darius Slayton back in. If they both know the playbook and they're both capable of running the same routes and whatever, split the snaps between them. Make it more 50-50. It does not need to be 80% Darius Slayton and 20% Jalin Hyatt, because Darius Slayton seems to have reverted back to the old Darius Slayton where he does not catch the ball. And the Giants are not going to win games if their key playmakers don't make plays, which includes you, Darius Slayton. You got to catch the ball, man. You got to catch the ball. I said this to someone else. I think I might have talked about this last week too, so I apologize if I did already. But I just feel like the players are regressing a little bit, and it's just wildly frustrating. Darius Slayton had his best year last year where he barely dropped anything, and he was so much more consistent than he's ever been with the Giants. And then this year, all of a sudden, he's dropping key balls again. What is happening? Singletary with the fumbles. So this is what I have to say too about Singletary being out. And obviously, I think he's a great back, and I would feel a lot better if he was playing in the game. But the fact that he's not means that maybe, just maybe, the offense will not have a fumble because Devin Singletary is not playing. And knock on wood, because I hope that I did not just jinx this team by saying that. But Singletary has been the key guy that's been fumbling a lot. So outside of that, I think obviously expect to see a lot of Tyrone Tracy. I don't know how involved Eric Gray is going to be. If they bring up Turbo, I don't know how involved he's going to be. Tyrone Tracy is going to be the workhorse back during this game. And, it's going to be a big responsibility for him, but I have faith in him. He's a good back. He's a good pass catcher. So I expect to see him involved. He's going to be the number one back this week, and let's hope he can make some plays. So continuing on with the offense, I think, the biggest key, and you could say this about all of the games, but this game especially, like, they just can't turn the ball over. They cannot afford to make any mistakes. That includes penalties. That includes stupid ass penalties, like too many players on the field and, delay of games and false starts. Like, you can't do that in a game like this. You already know it's going to be very loud because of the 12th man, and Daboll has said that they have prepared for it by turning up the volume at practice, making it hard for everyone to hear and to communicate, and we will find out on Sunday if that actually worked or not. So let's hope it did for a little bit. But this is a game where you cannot make mistakes like that. Like, they turn the ball over once, goodbye to any type of momentum that they probably had at that point forward. So everyone needs to be on top of their key game. That includes Jalen Hyatt. I felt like on that Hail Mary pass from Jones last week, it was the teeniest bit underthrown, but his hands were right there. I kind of felt like, could you say it was an effort thing? Maybe, maybe not, but I kind of felt like it was a catchable ball. So, like, every single person on this team has to step it up this week. And I know that that's like reiterated every single week, but this game is going to be very, very hard for this team to not only to compete, but to actually have a chance at winning. The Seahawks played relatively well against the Lions, who are one of the best teams in the league. Geno Smith is playing really well. The whole team looks really good. They have 3 insane wide receivers who are going to be really hard for our defensive backs to even attempt to cover them and make plays. Like, we're going to have to do a lot this game to win it. And, what I will say at this point in the season is that I do feel like they're improving every week. And I feel like they're getting closer to the team that I expected them to be this year. But you have to take it a step further than that. Like, playing okay football, you're going to get destroyed this week. And, like, the fact that we kept it close against Dallas, I'm like, can you guys just not shit the bed against the Seahawks, please? Like, Dallas, in theory, is a better team. Maybe they're not so much where they're at right now, but, like, you kept it close against Dallas. You have to do the same against Seattle. At least just be relatively close. So something else that I wanted to point out with the offense is, can we please get Daniel Jones involved more in the running game? Now that we know that Singletary is doubtful, any ounce of success that we have in the run game is going to be critical, and that involves getting Daniel Jones more involved. He seems like, with every opportunity that he has to run the ball and take some hits, he's like, gets a high from it and feels more confidence in himself. So that's something that if I'm Daboll, get him involved early. Let him get a couple good runs under his belt. See if he can fool their defense a little bit and get some yards. Like, we're going to need that from him along with all the other backs on the field. So I really would like to see Jones get involved more with that. So let's talk about the defense. Couple things. Geno has fumbled once, and Metcalf also has a turnover. So our defense is obviously playing better than the offense is. Like I said, they played well against the Cowboys, held them to 20 points. I don't think that they're going to hold the Seahawks to only 20 points, but if they can force some turnovers and give the offense the opportunity to make plays, which the defense has done their job for a good portion of this, especially against Dallas, it's up to the offense to make plays as well. We have to play complementary football. That's how we won the Browns game, was complementary football. So they can't get away from that. But I really feel like if the defense can make some plays, it's going to fall on the offense to win this game, and they need to do whatever they can to do that. So keeping tune with the defense here, I got this stat from ESPN Analytics. Dan Schneier posted this from Big Blue Banter. He posted this on Twitter, and honestly thought this was very interesting because a lot of fans, myself included, have been shitting on Burns and Kayvon because honestly I felt like it's been pretty warranted because they're not Myles Garrett and they're not Micah Parsons, and I don't expect them to be that, but I expected between the two of them to feel like they were getting more pressure on the quarterback and to feel like they were going to have more sacks, have more quarterback hits, whatever it is. Like, I expected it to show up maybe a little bit more on the stat sheet. The Giants defense is 9th in pass rush win rate. I promise I'm not making that up. It's from ESPN Analytics. And in my notes, I'm like, this literally sounds fake. It is shockingly true. They are also top 5 in sacks. I literally don't know how. I do not know how. But maybe they're not as bad as we think we are. All of that to say, that's what I meant by that. However, you got to keep it up. Like, can we get top 5 in pass rush win rate after this week, maybe? How's that? Top 9 is great. It's great. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, every single person on this team needs to play better. That includes you. Burns, you are making an ass load of money. Okay? Dexter Lawrence is getting double and triple teamed every single play. You and Kayvon have to win the edge and get to the quarterback. Multiple times, not just once. You can't just do it once and be done with it. So anyway, that's what I would like to see from the front four especially. Now let's talk about the secondary, because I was just begrudgingly on Twitter, and Jerome Henderson, who is the defensive backs coach for the Giants, or coordinator for the Giants, said that he talked to Tay Banks about the CeeDee Lamb touchdown where he had 40 yak yards. 40 yak yards on that one touchdown because Tay Banks decided, I'm not going to chase him down. And Jerome Henderson was very visibly pissed off about that, which, as he should be. We were all wildly pissed off about that. It felt like he kind of gave up, which is not cool when you're already getting fucking smoked week in and week out, and you've already gave up more touchdowns by week 4 than you did all of last year. So, like, I need to pick it up, buddy. So now would be a good opportunity to do that. Anyway, Jerome Henderson said that he had a talk with him. He said, that's not okay. You can't do shit like that. That's not verbatim what he said. You know what I mean. That was the type of conversation that they had. And, you know, Jerome said, we'll see if I got through to him. So let's all hope that he did. And I also talked about this before too. I think part of it with Banks is the scheme, where last year they blitzed a hell of a lot more with Wink. We all know that, and it seems like they got home a lot more. Now also keep in mind, we had Xavier McKinney as a safety last year, who obviously was better than some of the safeties that we have now. So he was making plays, and they didn't have to rely as heavily on Banks to make plays. But again, Banks is another guy that I feel like when I talked about Darius Slayton, like, why does it feel like he's regressing? Step it up. Walker and it's Charbonnet, right? Both have over 150 yards. Walker has 183. Walker has 4 touchdowns. Charbonnet has 3. And between the two of them, they have 0 turnovers. So someone between the two of them, they're good at holding on to the ball. Devin Singletary, please take note. We can't let them have a huge run game. We just can't. I don't know if they're going to focus on stacking the box. I don't know like what they think they're going to do. I do feel better that Drew Phillips is going to be out there. He is someone that this team has so badly been missing. He is an impact player, and he's a really good tackler. So I do feel confident that having Phillips out there is maybe, hopefully, going to make a difference in the Giants defense stopping the run, because he's been a really integral part of this defense so far. So I hope that between him and Nubin has done a pretty good job of making some plays. But like I said, like, everyone has to step it up, and this would be the week. This would really be the week to be like, everyone's counting us out. We're 1-3. We are embarrassing. We should be 3-1. We're losing these stupid games by the skin of our teeth because we can't get our shit together. Now would be the opportunity to go into Seattle and somehow, anyhow, walk out of there with a win. It's not impossible. Will it be a very big challenge? 100%. Not impossible, though. So that's what the team has to do to win. Couple more stats here that I have for the Seahawks is they're the #1 passing offense in the league. So again, we're going to have Adoree Jackson back too. And look, Adoree Jackson is not one of the best corners in the league by any means, but when we're watching Tay Banks struggle week in and week out, knowing that we're going to have a veteran presence like Adoree on the field, is I really hope is going to be helpful for this secondary. So I hope to see good, a good game from him again, knowing that they have really good receivers. DK Metcalf is an absolute freak. We all know what he's capable of doing. But like I said, he has a turnover. So can any one of them force a pass deflection? Can anyone jump the route and intercept the ball? Please, I'm literally begging you. Would be great. Something else that I have highlighted here that I wanted to talk about is JSN's average separation score is ranked 37 out of 45 wide receivers. Now that's on 100 plus routes run. So obviously he's a guy who has been a really integral part of their offense so far this year. And he's a guy that obviously the secondary is going to have to do well against, but he is rated on the lower end when it comes to separation. So I think that also could be a key piece that maybe the Giants can exploit this week. So let's see. The Seattle defense is not huge on blitzing, which is going to be good news for Daniel Jones. We'll see if they dial it up this week, knowing that he is a little frantic under pressure. Although he does seem, in the last few weeks, like he has calmed down a little bit. But their defense designs a lot of different looks, especially post-snap. So that is something that we know that Daniel Jones does not process very quickly. So let's see how that goes for him. I think the plan for the offense this week is going to be to get the ball out very quickly, and the receivers have to get open. Wandale, I think, is going to be a big third down target again. But for the love of Christ, Brian Daboll, stop with the play calling on 3rd and short. Every single time. Why is the play call to throw the ball 8 yards when you've got 9 yards to make a play, and you're throwing to Wandale every single time on 3rd down and he's always in coverage? How is he expected to make a play? He is not Nabers, and that is not a dig on Wandale. He is a very good wide receiver, but he's literally always covered. And he does make very good plays, and he is a good receiver, but he also has made a couple bad drops on 3rd down, and he also has not been able to get ahead of the sticks and get the first down. So stop with that fucking play call. It literally drives me insane, and it's been going on for years. It used to be a huge complaint of mine with Sterling Shepard, and I love Sterling Shepard, but it's the play call, or it's the receiver not running the right routes, or it's Jones throwing it short. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's all of those things, but it seems like it's always been a problem. And all of those things need to be solved. Now would be a time to solve it, because I'm a little worried with our run game without Singletary that we're going to have some 3rd and longs, and they can't do shit like that if they want to win. And all I hear from them is that, we're getting close, we want to win. Then fucking do it. Their defense has 14 sacks, 2 interceptions, one of them from Julian Love, and then 5 forced fumbles. So overall, their defense is playing quite well this year. So, I mean, the Giants, like I said, are in for a big challenge. The injuries are very clearly not helping them this week. But like I said, I always think that there's a chance. I don't feel confident going into this game by any means. But I do feel a little bit better that Drew Phillips is back. So is Adoree Jackson. I have faith in Tyrone Tracy. My concern is if they blitz the hell out of Daniel Jones, that he is going to look like the Jones that we saw in week 1. And that's what I'm worried about. And this is part of the problem that we all have with Jones, is the inconsistency. So he needs to play one of his better games of football that we have seen from him. And it's not just him, so does everyone else. Receivers can't drop balls. The run blocking has to be better, because we have to have some semblance of a run game in order to win this game and actually score a touchdown, maybe even 2. Field goals are certainly not going to win this game. I think we all know that. And Jones, you got to hit on the deep ball, man. Please. I just heard a stat today as I was listening to Big Blue Banter that said, or it might have been Talk Giants, that said that against Seattle's defense, there have only been 5 deep ball attempts so far this year. So I expect the Giants to dial that up this week, and that means that, Jones, you have to hit on them. Okay? That means that you got to get the timing right, the mechanics right. I don't know what it is if you're not planting your foot correctly. I am certainly no expert. We all know that. But he even said in his press conference this week, it used to not be a problem for him. And that's what I've been saying. I remember him throwing a very good deep ball. I don't know if it's the injuries. I don't know if it's the fact that he's only 4 games back into the season. I don't know if he doesn't have the confidence to do it. I don't know if he doesn't trust the receivers. I don't know what the problem is, but it's week 5. It is time now to figure it out. You have to hit on at least one of them. And only asking for one of them is like wildly generous. Like, you got to hit on at least 2 of those. Like, we need to have explosive plays, and that falls on Daniel Jones. So now is the time to do it. Okay? I really want to see him do that this week, because it just would be fun to watch. As a fan, would be great to see a big explosive play and a 40-yard bomb down the field to Jalen Hyatt, or I don't literally give a shit who it is on offense. Throw it to Isaiah Hodgins for all I fucking care. Just throw it and catch the ball and make a play. Literally all I want to see out of you. And then, maybe some semblance of a run game would also be great. But the pass blocking has done a really nice job this year. The offensive line has been spectacular. They've kept Jones upright. So it's up to him. It's all on him to make those throws and get the timing right. And, like I said, he's done it before. Now is the time to do it again. And I just hope that he's starting to get the confidence to do that, because, you're not scoring touchdowns without it. And like we have said week after week, you are not winning unless you're the Commanders, who magically have a fluke only because it's against the Giants. They're the only team to win a game with that many field goals after the other team scored touchdowns. So that is not a winning formula. Touchdowns are. So we have a little more faith in our kicker. Greg Joseph was fantastic last week. 5 for 5 on field goals. Great. Expect him to do fantastic. If we can actually score touchdowns, should be 5 for 5 also on the extra point attempts. So that's how the Giants win this game. Will they? I'm not so sure. Time will tell. But I think I'm going to be live here on YouTube streaming the game. So 4:25, join me here. Let's watch the game together, see how it goes. Like I said, we are here as a team. We can commiserate, we can cheer, we can do all of the things, share our frustrations, and just hope that this team can bring some life and hope back into us as fans, because there's still a lot of football left to go. So stay tuned for more. Thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe, rate, review, again, share with your friends, hit the bell button so you get notified every time a new video goes live. And then I'll be live here on YouTube on Sunday during the game. So again, if you hit that bell, you'll get the notification as soon as I am on here, and we can talk Giants all Sunday long. So everyone, enjoy your weekend, and until then, I'll see you Sunday at 4:25. Let's go Giants.